It was like $300,000. I'm like, wow. I'll never make that mistake again. Ask them, have you spoken with a lender or will you be paying cash? They'll say, oh, no, I need a loan. Great, do you have a lender in mind or can I have someone call you? It's going to go organically to, I just want to see the house, I don't want to commit to anything, I'm not ready to go yet, whatever it is. I understand that. When you're purchasing a home, there are certain steps we have to take to make sure that everything is in order. My biggest goal is to protect you 100%. In order to do that, we need to start by talking to a lender and seeing what you feel comfortable with in a monthly payment. I use that dialogue rather than what you can afford or what you're qualified for because a couple of things. First of all, what they're qualified for may not be what they're comfortable with, and they may find what you can afford offensive. We need to talk to somebody and find out what payment you're comfortable with. My biggest concern when I start showing you homes and we're working together is that we find the home of your dreams and it works for you emotionally, but we can't make it happen financially. Then every other house you look at will not live up to that. And we've got to reevaluate your needs. No obligation, no pressure. Let me have a lender call you and get this first step done. As a buyer, would you say no to that? If you were a real buyer, not a neighbor looking for decorating tips. Of course not. Oh, that's the first step. Buyers don't do things in reverse because they're mean or they're rotten. They do things in reverse because they don't know what the process is. And they may have talked to 15 other agents and called about 15 other homes, but they never got the process. They got what that agent wanted to give them, which was information about that house. What you want to give them is a professional that wants a relationship. So you get the, after you talk to my lender, I'm going to give you a call back. We'll talk about this home and other homes in the area that are similar. While you're talking to Shauna, I'm going to pull up some other houses. Do you have an email where I can send these to you? Great. I'm going to have Shauna give you a call now or in the next hour. Can I call you back around 5 or 6 and discuss what we know? Does anybody have any questions about cold leads? Do you see the difference between dialogue and guided conversation? Do you feel that that is more genuine? Do you think you could do it? I know you can. Okay. All right. The next cold leads are open houses. When you do an open house, you have one or more goals. Your objective for an open house is either to sell the house you're in, generate buyer leads, or generate listing leads. If you are doing an open house to appease a seller, change your goal or don't do it. Yes, sir.
How many houses are sold from the open house?
Well, I don't know the statistics. Do you? 3%? 3%. Most of the time, people come into open houses the same way they call. They come in to eliminate them. It is the bluebird of happiness pooping on your shoulder if a buyer walks into an open house and says, yes, this is my house. Most of the time, you are working to build relationships with people who are walking in. So you're either trying to sell that house, you're trying to gain buyers, or you're trying to gain listings. You should, like I said, your main objective should never be to appease the seller. If you have a seller that lives in an undesirable area for open houses and says to you, the only way I'll list with you is if you do open houses every single Sunday on my $47,000 house, you either need to re-educate or reevaluate. Does that make sense? Okay. So when you do an open house, there is no reason in the world not to make it the event of a lifetime. There is no reason in the world not to go absolutely ape crazy on an open house. You are there from 2 to 4, whether you do it half-butted or you go all out. You are there from 2 to 4 making conversation and being kind and being on stage, whether you have 2 people through or 25 people through. You might as well get everybody through the door that you can. When you do an open house, on that Saturday before you do the open house, if you committed to going to the neighborhood and talking to 10 neighbors, 5 on this side, 5 on this side, and 5 on the other side of the street, and telling them, I am holding this house open tomorrow from 2 to 4. I would love it if you stopped in and took a look, just in case you have anyone who may be interested in moving into the neighborhood. You can get an idea of what this home looks like and the price that it is. Stop by. I'd love to see you. You have done several things. The first thing you've done is begun farming that neighborhood. You've opened yourself up to that neighborhood. They now know who you are with your face that says, I sell real estate. The second thing you've done is you've shown them that you go above and beyond what the normal real estate agent does because you actually knocked on their door and invited them to waste your time. The third thing you've done is made them actively involved in choosing. Most people who live in a neighborhood love their neighborhood. I love my neighborhood. I absolutely love it, and there's nothing that excites me more than the idea that I can choose who my neighbors are. In that, can you afford the house and let me sell it to you? Now, as a non-real estate professional, other neighbors might have another idea. Who cares? Whatever their idea is of choosing their neighbors, come take a look at my house. Invite the neighbors, get their opinion. And here's what's going to happen when the neighbors walk in. Oh, my house is much nicer than this. Oh, really? Are you thinking of selling? Well, no, not now. Oh, okay. We have kids in school. Oh, really? What grades? You are creating a cheerleader. You find out what grades their kids are in. You find out that they've got one that's a senior in high school and one's a sophomore in high school, and they're not going to sell until the kids are out of school. That's only 2 years. 24 months from now, that could be your listing if you play your cards right and keep in touch with them. Oh, we have a fenced yard because we have a dog. Oh, you have a dog. Oh, I love dogs. I have a dog too. Want to see a picture? I mean, bond with them. Talk to them. You also want to advertise it on Craigslist and the MLS and Zillow and all those other places. Better Homes and Gardens, the greenhouse, has this thing called Pinpoint. If you want to spend a little bit of money, Pinpoint will send out postcards to certain demographics. You can choose people who have, if it has more than a half acre, you can find people who have pets, you can find people who have children, you can find people who have owned a house for more than 5 years in certain areas and send it out to them. Yes?
I did a Facebook class where you can do a 1 mile radius from them and send it out for less than $20 for show up 500-600 times to people that live in that neighborhood.
There are a million things that you can do for very little or no money. I also, couple of tips. I buy from Sam's Club those tiny little water bottles. They're the weird looking ones that are this small. Pull the label off. And then on Avery Labels 5160, I print one of them with a picture of the house and the price and my contact information. Well, a picture of the house, the address and the price, and then another one with my picture and my contact information. I put the stickers on the water bottles, one on one side, one on the other. I have now customized water bottles to that house. Sellers love them. People who come through the open house love them. They're 5160, but you can use whatever you want. They're mailing labels, so they're multi-purpose and I use them for everything. But take the label off and stick those, customize those labels, print them out with a picture of the house. Thanks for coming. If you really want to go crazy and talk to a lender and have them buy Rice Krispie treats, I say Rice Krispie treats because they're prepackaged, they're really cheap, and they hold forever with all the preservatives in them. On one side, stick that sticker. On the other side, stick your contact information, and then give them out to the kids. Want a goodie? The other thing is that they don't crumble because they're all marshmallowy, so they don't crumble. There's no crumbs. Make it an event. Get there early. Open up every drape. Turn on every light. Make it an event. Have something moving outside. Chris and I bought 8-foot by 4-foot open house flags. I think we paid like $20 a piece for them. Not even that? For 3? Oh, okay. They are enormous. You want to talk about making a splash, especially in Wichita wind? They're like, so make it an event. Also, ask for feedback. Everybody that comes in, you can have questionnaires. Ask them. What'd you like most about the house? What'd you like least about the house? Is there anything that the seller should change to sell the home? You'll get honest feedback from actual buyers that you can talk to your seller about and get the carpet changed, get the, pitch black room painted, get the price reduction, whatever it is that you've been telling them as their professional, you'll get that information from actual buyers and it will hit home more. Sign-in sheets. What do you guys think? Yes or no on an open house? Yes? Yes? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Go ahead.
Point blank with people, I'm like, I'll let you fill them out if you really want me to contact you, and I'll contact you as best you want me to or as me.
That's
A few weeks ago, Lynn Landry told us that she was very unsuccessful with sheets, but she got a program that works on an iPad. I'm ready to roll out that program now. I'm just waiting to work out a couple of kinks that I'm going to explain to Brenda's account and see what goes on. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll show you how that works and how it's been done. The technology is unique, so people are more, I can sign in on an iPad?
Mm-hmm. I have found now I waffle between sign-in sheets being a good idea and not a good idea. I do it both ways. I have seen sign-in sheets, people sign in and they think you got the information you want, now leave me alone and don't talk to me. I have found that most of the time if I start a conversation, is this home something that interested you today? No. Why not? What is it that you're looking for that this one doesn't have? Well, how about if I check my MLS and see if there's anything at all that might work with that? Do you have an email? Can I send you some listings? Is this area really where you want to be? They'll tell you straight, no, we're just screwing around. We didn't have anything to do for an hour. Awesome. I had one around the corner from the movie theater out east. And I had a ton of people go, no, we just had time before the movie starts. Great, take a look around. I'm here 2 hours, whether you're looking around or not. Let's play. So there's no wrong answer there, but try and get their email either way, and then throw them on there. Please. Yep.
Okay, going back to what Brenda said earlier about knowing that most people don't buy that house, when Greg said only 3% of the people buy the house. One of the things that I used to love to do was make a packet of houses that were around the neighborhood. Because they're going to come in, they're going to talk to you, they're going to say, I don't want this house. So why wouldn't you have, they obviously want that neighborhood because they're there. So have houses around that neighborhood with other things for sale. So if you do your due process of, can I get to know you? What are your questions about blah, 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 as Brenda's been saying, then you can tell them, well, if this house isn't something that interests you, and they don't have another agent, of course. If this house isn't something that interests you, I have a package of some of the other houses that are for sale in the area. All of your information is on it, of course. You may have your business card stapled to it, you know, their agent printouts that you have. Please take a look. I can show you any of these houses. I'm more than happy to get together with you and do that.
And when you're first in the business, you have a lot of time, so I went a step further. I'd go and preview the houses in the neighborhood, call them up to the agent and say, I just want to preview this. Sunday, if somebody walked in, I wouldn't say I know other houses, I would say, what do you like about this and what don't you like, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you know what, I just showed a house last week, 3 blocks over. When I get off here, would you like me to arrange a showing, and I'll go right over and show it to you.
Absolutely.
You'd be surprised how many people like that extra step.
Absolutely.
If you're going, if you know they're not, you know, if they're not gonna buy that house, there's no reason you can't snag them for something else. And it's an added service right away, right now, which proves your professionalism.
The other thing, if you haven't looked at Cloud CMA, Cloud CMA has a buyer package that if you choose a home, it will give you restaurants in the area, schools, stores, where the churches are, where the libraries are, everything like that. You want to go an extra step along with the listing information, the listing flyer at the open house. Print out a couple of those. And if somebody says, this is the area that I want to live in, or I don't know much about this area, well, let me show you why this area is so awesome. Here's some demographics, here's walkability score, here's where stuff is, you've got churches, you've got restaurants. Take this with you. And of course, your information is plastered all over it. You all of a sudden just became the expert in that area, even if you never set foot in the area before you got the listing. If you don't have your own open houses, every heavy agent listing in these offices has open houses that need to be held open. We are all only one person and can only be at one. So there's other opportunities. Whatever you want, just ask. Does anybody have any questions about any of that?
When you are doing open house and you are talking to potential buyers, you know, now there's the Cox Home Bundle, so your seller is sitting down the street at the sports bar, watching your every move on the cameras, and then maybe get offensive that you're asking other buyers maybe be interested in other homes in the area. Have you?
I have not had that happen, but I did have someone that was telling me about a showing that they did on another house, and they were videoed the whole time, and it made them very uncomfortable. There is nothing wrong with if someone says, this is not the house I'm interested in, talking to them about other homes, and you can pretty much tell a seller they weren't interested in your home.
And the best thing is, and to tell the seller, you know, right, they told me I wasn't interested in the home. Yes, there are other, I'd rather work with them as a client so that if they ever come back to this home or if they ever want to come back to it, I already know it. I can always bring them back to it. It's better than letting them go to another agent that doesn't even know your house.
Have you had that happen?
I had that happen, yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah, like, and of course, you know, a seller's gonna be, if they have access to their home, they wanna know who's coming in
Sure.
and out and,
Yep.
you know, what they're
Yeah,
saying. And
that's,
I always like, when I go through a home, as a buyer's agent, and I see cameras, I always, if there's any interest that you have, we'll talk about it outside, so we're not giving up our position.
And
I
I-
will also say,
yeah.
be very careful about outside because most of them will have a camera in a tree or something to protect the outside, which is also mic'd. So be careful how close you're standing to the house.
that is, in today's day and age, that is something that, I mean, we've been selling real estate for 20 years. We never had to worry about that, but now we do.
And again, it's understandable if you have that access.
Still creepy.
You know what I mean? So,
So no more picking your nose at open houses.
yeah,
You
or
don't
just
see
sitting
it.
there.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's start dusting. That's all right. That is a very good point, and I really need to add that because that can happen. I mean, that happen. That is kind of creepy, but it's going to happen. That's the way we're going. All right, we're going to talk very briefly about farming. Farming is not today's business. Farming is a strong commitment. Minimum of 3 years before you see any giant returns on farming. Farming, there's two different kinds of farming. There's social farming and geographic farming. Social farming would be like clubs, Kiwanis, bless you, Kiwanis, young professionals, BNI, stuff like that. Their Rose Club, Rose, I can't remember, quilting club, book club. That's social farming. You take a group of people you have something in common with and add real estate to the mix. Geographic farming is choosing an area that you appreciate, like, and want to sell in, and courting those homeowners to be the expert in real estate. Farming is not just sending something out. Farming is not just mailing once a month. Farming is about offering your services as the expert, whether it be a social farm or a geographic farm. If it's a geographic farm, you need to know everything there is to know about that area. You need to be the expert in that area. If it's a social farm, you need to prove that you are an expert in all the areas that those folks live based on the fact that you sell real estate. So whether it be a geographic or a social, if you're looking at a geographic farm, there's a couple things to consider. First one is, can you do it in the area? Do they allow you in the area that you're thinking to walk down the street and knock on doors and introduce yourself? If they don't allow it, it may not be the best area for you to choose. Is there a high turnover rate? Do homes come up for sale often? There are certain areas where people live until they die, and the homes are just not turning over very quickly. You've got to find that out, because if the homes aren't turning over very quickly, you're not going to get the most bang for your buck. Are property values increasing? This is really not a problem in today's market, because most property values are increasing, but you need to look at the history in the MLS of the area that you're interested in, make sure prices are going up. If they're decreasing, that may not be the area you want to play in. Most importantly, how many other agents are farming that area? Truly farming it. Not just sending mailers once a month or sending mailers every four times a year, but truly farming it. Do they live there? Do they work there? Are they beating the ground? If there's someone who has an area tied up, that doesn't mean that it's not a good area for you. Just means you have to know that you're going to have to work a little bit harder to squeeze that person out. Does the area have a lot of tenants? Yes.
I was just going to say, would that be something that you would know just because you see their name everywhere, basically?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see like a theme, and you kind of know, okay, they're not.
Right, right. That's, if you're driving down the road and if you look in the MLS and in the last year, 20 homes have sold in that area and seven of them are listed with the same agent, they're probably farming it. All right. Are there a lot of tenants? Are there a lot of rental occupied, tenant occupied homes or non-owner occupied homes? If there are, you may get a lot of buyers from that, but you're not going to get to sell those homes. So you may need to shift your focus from, I want to list your home, to, I want to help you stop making your landlord rich. There's nothing wrong with marketing those areas. You just need to know you're going to be dealing with more first-time home buyers. You're going to be dealing with more difficult situations and buyers rather than listings. And are the homes of similar price and style? It is very difficult to give general information when you're dealing with an area where this home is $300,000, this home is $60,000, this home is $120,000, and this home is a garage that was converted to a house. You cannot give generalities in your newsletters or your information about the area if they're not of similar price and style. That doesn't mean it's not a good idea to farm it. It just means your farming is going to be a little different. And then, what sources do you have available to help bolster your farm area? Are there community activities? Does it have a public pool? Is there an area that you could rent for a neighborhood appreciation day? Those kind of things. So find out what's available, post office, library, stuff like that. And then, would you be proud to market that area? Is it a place that you want to spend time in? Because if you're going to do a geographic farm, you're going to spend time in that area. It doesn't necessarily have to be the area that you live in, but it needs to be an area that you would be proud to market to. It doesn't, not just because houses turn over fast. So, yep, all right. When you're dealing with a farm area, you need to be the market expert. You need to know everything that's going on in that area. You need to be the source for everything real estate, including garage sales, power outages, free stuff, everything, so that anytime anyone has a question about the neighborhood or the area that who lives there, they're calling you. You're the first person they think to call. And lastly, does anybody have any questions about farming? Okay, lastly, and very importantly, the last type of lead that we need to talk about are the people who are you dealing with right now. The people who you are dealing with right now are living and breathing real estate just as much as you are. They're talking about it all the time because it is the most important thing that's going on in their life. They are either buying or selling a home. You should be reminding them every single time you talk to them that when they talk about real estate, they talk about you. Oftentimes, we as agents only ask for referrals at the closing. Hey, thanks for a fantastic transaction. If you know anybody who has a real estate need, please don't hesitate to give them my name. It's already over. They're done. They're not talking about real estate anymore. They were talking about real estate for 2.5 months. Now they're not about it at all. They should be talking about you, everything that you're doing to help them, and you need to remind them to do that. So you have to ask them. When you're talking to your friends about it, mention my name. If they have anything that they need, tell them to call me. If you're talking to somebody and they say they're looking at possibly buying a house, please tell them about me. Give me their name, I'll call them. And you need to be that blatant about it because they won't think about it unless you remind them. Their thought process is in the process, not on you. So if you help them to remember, as good as I'm treating you is as good as I will treat them, I promise. And you will look like a hero for referring me because I'll treat them awesome. So your current clients are a huge source of business before they close.
Okay, one thing I'd like to add before we wrap up and give you a big round of applause, I want to add this in. After you listen to Brenda this whole day, how many days a week do you prospect? Every day.
Every day you're working.
Every day you're working, and I would like you to write this down. It's silly, but write it down and keep it with you. One more call.
One more call.
Every day that you're done prospecting, when you are done and you wrap it up and you say, I am done, I want you to make one more call. I don't care who it is, FSBO, expired, cold call, friend, circle of influence, whatever it is. When you are done and you say, I'm done for today, yay me, make one more call. And I guarantee you that one more call will hit on something at some time, in some place. Or if no other reason, if you prospect 5 days a week, at the end of the month, you've just made 20 extra calls.
Huge.
So every time you're done, one more call. I'm going to write that on a board that I'm going to put out.
I was going to
One
say,
more
we're going to
call.
print it out and put
One
it up.
more call.
All right. And last thing, I want you to concentrate on activities you can control. Real estate is a numbers game. Nothing works all the time, but everything works some of the time. So I want you to concentrate on activities that you can control, not on the results. I want you to create a schedule for yourself. I will contact X number of FSBOs a week, which means X number of FSBOs a day, which means X number of FSBOs an hour, however you want to do it, I will contact X number of FSBOs, X number of expireds, X number of circle of influence, and X number of cold leads. I will do that this week. Keep a check sheet if you have to. That's what I do. I have a check sheet. I've done, if you hit your goal, if your goal is to contact this number of people equaling this many appointments, and you hit that goal on Monday, your activity-based goal is done. If you want to be lazy and mediocre, you could take the rest of the week off. If you want to be excellent and excel at this business, you will consider that a win and come to work on Tuesday and start fresh and do it all. But activity-based progress is what I want you to concentrate on now. Because if you only look at the results, sellers and buyers will hear it in your voice. They will hear that all you're concentrating on is getting them to do what you want. You are not coming from a position of service. When you come from a position of service, they get it. And attract them like bees to flowers. Does anybody have any questions? God, you guys are just a riot. Woo! Let me tell you. All right.
Very much.
Go make money.
All right, I know we ran a half hour